actually share a little reading from this adorable little calendar that I have by Louise Hay that was gifted to me by my friend Stephanie. So, this is what it says for the month of July. This month, I see how I can serve my community. However I can help is greatly appreciated, and it is beneficial for me as well. Working together is part of the purpose of life, and I learn so much through cooperating with others. I feel tolerance, compassion, and love, and I share this with everyone. In the process, I help create a world where it is safe for us to love each other. I am very grateful to be able to contribute in fulfilling and productive ways, and I greet this new chapter of my life with enthusiasm. So thank you, Louise Hay, for that. And as I was thinking about community, yes, all of that stands true, but what was also coming up for me was the community within. Our thoughts, our beliefs, our stories, all the stuff that kind of makes up who we are, how we experience life, our worldview, the lens through which we create and experience life. And so the thing that was very, very present for me for the last few weeks is I just finished last night the next level of 9D Transformational Breathwork certification that everyone, no matter how long they've been with the organization, and I've been with the organization for almost 3 years, everyone has to go through this recertification so that everyone is on the same level as far as training, trauma, information, and nervous system regulation and stuff goes. And one of the things in one of the videos, actually he said it several times, but in one video in particular, Brian Kelly, the founder, kept saying that it is our responsibility to be of service. But in order to be of service to others, we have to be resourced. And this took me back to my aha moment when I was in Nashville at the live event in February, where someone said resourced, and then I finally heard it as resourced, and how it was so neat that every time we resource ourselves, we're not taking from somewhere else. What we're actually doing is we are realigning as source, right? So resource. It was just such a kind of moment for me. And so it came back to me today. In order to help others, in order to serve others, you really need to have your cup full. Which doesn't necessarily mean you don't do anything for anybody else in your entire life until you're feeling perfect, but it means that, it's a journey, and along the way, we need to make sure that we are feeling full, we are feeling fulfilled, so that we can actually give of the love that we are in the spirit of love to others, including our community. And so what that means is we need to be clear on the community within us. We need to be clear about the thoughts and the beliefs and the stories, the experiences, however it is that we're showing up, because all of that informs how we experience life in turn. And so this took me back to this book, The Power of Decision by Raymond Charles Barker, an oldie but a goodie. I think that this book was actually published the year that I was born. And why? Because every single moment we are choosing, right? So every single moment we are making a decision about what we're thinking, what we're choosing to believe, what story we are telling, and whether we are going to continue going with the same old, or whether we're going to continue, or whether we are going to open up to and lean into something new. And so I want to read you a quote out of a section on health in The Power of Decision. Spiritual recognition of your health is a great step forward toward any healing. It is a required premise if you are to use spiritual treatment or affirmative prayer as your means of restoring health. Your very recognition of this fact causes the health process to being its perfect work. Raymond's doing this. Okay? So the first thing, like we got to want it, we got to know, and we got to declare. And this is one of the reasons that we have these affirmations for the month. To have a statement that affirms something positive, that affirms something expansive, that affirms something that opens us up to experiencing life as something bigger than what we have up until now, as something different than what we have up until now. Because if we keep choosing the same again and again and again, what are we going to get more of? The same, the same, the same, the same, right? Now, he goes on to say, you cannot emphasize enough in your mind the fact that God is life, health, perfect action, strength, and vitality. The repetition of statements like that one, an affirmation or a declaration, causes your subconscious mind to respond by corresponding. Okay? So I think most of us here have heard it enough times, have taken enough classes, have read enough books, listened to enough podcasts to know that we use our conscious mind about 5% of the time during the day, right? We use our conscious mind to change our life, to make decisions that we're aware of. But 95% of the time, what's hanging out in the subconscious, what's hanging out in the subjective mind, which is everything, is available for those conscious thoughts to filter through. So we need to get really clear about what it is that we are paying attention to, whether we're aware of it or not, in that subconscious, in the subjective mind. And the only way that we can do that is by using our conscious mind to do so. And the more we do it, the more automatic it becomes until the story, the belief, the thought, whatever, becomes the thing that we default to rather than the story, the belief, the thought that has gotten us to where we are right now. And so decide, the word itself, the etymology of it, it comes from Latin, which means to cut off. So you literally are paying attention to this or choosing this with this not even being an option anymore. It filtered through and not filtered, the word just totally went, it morphed, let's say, from to cut off into to make up one's mind, and then more recently, to determine an outcome. But however you look at it, when you decide something, it is definitive. So if you decide that you are a healthy person, then that means that you are likely to make choices that a healthy person is going to make. And if you're not sure if you're a healthy person, you can ask a question. What would healthy Winnie choose to do? What would healthy Winnie decide? Healthy Winnie would decide to bike to VTC so that she can then bike to the next place that she's going to, right? Get some exercise, move her body along the way, experience the beautiful energy of the wind and the sun and everything on her face and on her skin, right? So we can ask, but it's not always easy. And if our nervous system is accustomed to hard, if our nervous system is accustomed to healthy also meant volatile, healthy also meant something that didn't align with that, then our nervous system is going to default to that kind of experience. And then it's up to us, before we can even change our minds, to signal safety to the body, because the body decides way before the mind does, way before, to signal to the body that it is okay, that it is safe. I'm showing you guys this for the umpteenth time, the butterfly hug, right? Okay, you go at the pace that you want to go. You can go faster, you can go slower, you can go harder. But this is some bilateral stimulation, which is getting you into the body, which is activating both sides of the brain, and it is signaling safety to your nervous system. Okay? There's also the washing machine, which is one of my favorites because it really gets to twist my back around. I did this last week in Nanaimo. They'd never heard of any of this stuff. It was so new. They were so excited about it. Anyway, so really important to signal safety to the body, because no matter how much you use your conscious mind, if your body's like, nope, it's in fight, flight, freeze, fawn, you cannot even physically expand, never mind mentally or emotionally. Okay? So there is a quote that Michael Hunter actually offered today, Michael Hunter from Up Spiral Life, which is very similar to another one that I'll give you in a sec. The brain will always choose a familiar pain over an unfamiliar freedom. All right? Another way, and this is by Kathy Overman, your nervous system will always choose a familiar hell over an unfamiliar heaven. So this is why we have to use our conscious mind to train ourselves to choose, to decide to choose that heaven that we want. So to the song, the original, today's a day of originals, to the original that Kelby McNair wrote, I have decided to follow peace. I have decided to follow joy. I have decided to follow love, and not just a little bit, and not just sometimes. I have decided with all my soul. Hello, yeah. Like I have goosebumps and just my heart is like opening like this. That is such a powerful declaration, and we don't get to just say it, we get to sing it. Which means that our bodies and our nervous systems and our mind and our heart receive it on a different level. Like we get to anchor it into the interspaces of our being, right? This is part of the reason we sing and we stand and we move, you guys, so that we can experience spirit more fully, okay? Not just listening to it, not just reading about it, not just talking about it, but experiencing it so that we can what? What's the purpose here at VTC? Embodiment. And this means to feel it, to be it in the body, to show up as that. So, going back to, did I write this twice? Yeah, I did write it twice. Okay, so Raymond Charles Barker, we had that quote. So going back to the Louise Hay quote of how can I best serve my community? Well, like Brian Kelly said from 9D, you have to be resourced yourself. And what I say is you need to be resourced. You need to be aligned. You need to be anchored. You need to be showing up with the certainty that love is your true nature. Period. End of sentence. Okay? And the more that each of us do that individually, the more we do that collectively, and the more that vibration, that frequency of love ripples out into the world. So the best way that you can first serve your community is honestly serve yourself. Take care of yourself. Resource yourself. Fill your cup. Get clear on who and what you are and how powerful you are, and then show up as that, okay? So in the end, actually, the title of my talk, how about that? I have decided. And then you can just fill in the blank there. And please, I would like a few kudos here because I created this slide from scratch. No AI, I created from scratch. So I think at some point, many, if not all of us, have had those little fridge magnets, right? And so that's what that is. I have decided, to follow, to be, to show up as, to embody whatever, peace, joy, love, compassion, health, abundance. And at the very bottom, me as the acronym for mental equivalent, for all you Ernest Holmes fans out there, which is the highest expression of who we can be and how we can show up in the world. The mental equivalent of the most awesome, amazing me that I can be. That's what I want for all of us, and the way that we do it is by using our conscious mind to resource ourselves so we can tune into whatever it is that's going on in the subconscious mind, only the best stuff for us. And so in deciding to embody peace, joy, and love, I create a world where it is safe for me to love myself. In doing so, I am more able to share the love I truly am with everyone. And then going back to Louise Hay, creating a world where it is safe for all of us to be more compassionate and loving with each other. Thank you, and so it is.